Welcome to the warm-up exercise for the YMI podcast called The Fantasy Restaurant. In here, my guests get to pick their favorite drink, appetizer, main, side, and dessert. Anything goes. Randy has a very sophisticated meal, at least in my humble opinion. Everything is fresh, which honestly I really like, but I seldom think about that. At any rate, I hope you enjoy this dining experience with Randy. Randy, thank you for joining me in the Fantasy Restaurant today.
Well, good morning, Craig. It's great to be here. So far, the service has been wonderful. The ice water was nice and icy, the way you normally like it to be. And they tell me we would never drink water again if we knew what fish did in it.
Is that right?
It doesn't scare me off at all.
I was going to say, for some people, it might just enhance the experience. You never know. All right. So here in the Fantasy Restaurant, there basically are no rules. I'm going to ask you about foods this could be from your childhood, something your mom made, something your grandma makes. This could be something you make, or from your favorite restaurant, or from your favorite novel or TV show. It doesn't have to make any sense except to you. So I'm going to start with, what do you want to drink in your fantasy restaurant?
Well, I would like, if you would ask me 10 years ago, it would have been definitely vodka, Stolichnaya, or what do I like now? The Grey Goose. But, I'm more into wine now just because it's not as heavy and it doesn't, throw me off the loop. I can still do math or sign my name when the check comes. So maybe I'll let the sommelier pick, just a Chardonnay perhaps.
All right. A nice Chardonnay. All right. That's easy. That's an easy start.
And the water. Right. Water's always good. You never know.
Are you sparkling or are you a flat?
No, just flat tap unless you know something about the local water that I don't.
I do not. So I know the water we have around here, it's a little bit sweet, so it's really nice. I enjoy it. Some places not so much. Where I grew up, it was terrible. So
where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Waco, Texas.
Well, God love you, Texas boy. Well, that's all right. I'll leave my boots to the door, and if Waco, perhaps I should speak slowly. Is that going to be required? No. Just a joke, my friend. Just a joke.
No, absolutely. Oh, trust me, I've still got a lot of family there. So, yeah, it's more accurate than you may realize.
Okay.
All right. So next, I'm going to move you on to the appetizer portion of the meal. Often my favorite, not everybody's, but what are you going to get for your appetizer?
Well, nice big shrimp cocktail, prawns. If you got them big, I love them. If they're just wimpy shrimp and they're not, they've been frozen for a while, whatever, I would expect you to give me some honest answer and feedback on that. And if it's not prawn shrimp cocktail, maybe it's is it appy? If a calamari is good, if you have it on the menu, and it truly is calamari, because they do substitutions of things that they call calamari that isn't, but lightly fried calamari.
Lightly fried. So what constitutes the perfect shrimp cocktail? I assume a lot of it has to do with the sauce that comes with it, right?
Well, I would go right to the shrimp first and tell you that they need to not be rubbery. They need to be, they snap when you bite them. They've got some texture to them. And the large shrimp just make it may taste the same as the little tiny babies. It just makes a nicer presentation, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah. So some people are very much about texture. Some are more about flavor. Some are a mix of both. Sounds like you're a texture person. I like that.
Okay.
All right. So
down to texture. Yes.
Absolutely. If we're doing calamari, lightly fried, are you going to dip that in anything? Are you going to have any accoutrement?
I hope it doesesn't need it. It normally comes with perhaps a mustard sauce or, various different sauces generally come with it. But, the sauces are just there to lend a little enhancement. But I don't want to drown out the flavor of something I really enjoy eating. So I would say
like it.
It's not so much about the sauce.
Man after my own heart.
Okay.
We can dig it. All right. Well, let's move on to the part I like to call the bread /soup /salad portion. Do you want any of that? Do you want all of that? What do you got?
Oh, well, of three there that you mentioned, definitely a salad. I have not so much for, I'm born again with some sort of health tradition, but that is sort of a backstory that is health related. But I love a great salad. I really do, with all sorts of fresh ingredients. A good salad should never be the same twice. Maybe in the restaurant it is because you are serving, multiple people, and you've got a formula for it. But
Yeah.
make a salad at home. It's like, well, what have I got this fresh? When I go to the store, what can I buy this fresh? It's interesting. I haven't thrown in a salad before. So the greatest mix of greens and assorted veggies, it all goes.
Greens, veggies. Are you like a nut kind of person? Like where you put like
Uh,
pecans or cheeses or anything like that?
no, I tend to cheese. You're talking me into it. A little cheese in a salad is not a bad thing at all. I like that idea. But just there's so many vegetables that we don't eat. We all see lettuce, we see tomato in the store, we see carrots, we see green pepper. But there's so many vegetables that I've been introduced to at the restaurants that's not available necessarily in the store where I shop, or I walk past it and just have never really stopped to look at some of them and wouldn't even know how to handle some things. There's seeds, and it looks more complex than I'm ready to do battle with. So a great salad from a restaurant where folks are into picking up whatever's fresh in the market when they supply the kitchen.
What do you do dressing wise?
Um, on the side, got to be on the side. I like that because sometimes it's a heavy pour, it's a light pour, and I like the opportunity to do that myself. And a great Caesar dressing is, I mean, a real Caesar, not necessarily out of the bottle. But have you ever seen anybody make a Caesar salad table side? Where they crush the anchovies, and it's quite the affair. It's half show and half for flavor. But I've had that a few times in some better restaurants. They bring out a wooden bowl, not a plastic or porcelain, and they use a fork and they squeeze the anchovies, down to a paste, and then you mix in a raw egg. Ooh, that's dangerous to say to some people. And a great fresh Caesar dressing is fantastic, to my opinion.
Well,
all this is my opinion, by the way.
No, of course. Well, this is your fantasy restaurant. This is going to be, exactly the way you want it. Okay. Ironically, an hour ago, I ate a Caesar salad that was delicious.
Oh, wow.
And I also, ironically, the last person I had on this said that they wanted theirs made tableside as well. And that's, wow. You are the first two people to say that, and you are in rapid succession there. I think that's fascinating.
I'm fascinated who that might be. I won't ask you to divulge names, but maybe what industry are they in, or where do they live?
This is a person out of Chicago. They are a trained chef. So probably has something to do.
I'm in good company then.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they were kind of the mind that, tableside really creates kind of an experience with the meal. And that is lacking nowadays. You just don't see it anymore.
Amen to that. Yeah.
For me, I've heard before, and I'm going to paraphrase because I'm going to totally butcher this, but they said there's like three kinds of ways to eat. One is to feed, whereas like I just need calories. Right. One is like a standard meal where you're going to eat, right? Where, you're probably going to a restaurant or something, or maybe just making a meal at home. And then one is to dine, where half of it is the experience. And I feel like that dine piece is kind of going the way of the dodo these days.
Unfortunately so. And, just to eat, as you get on in years and you're watching calories more to maintain the, a healthy body for your own sake and for appearance sake. I try to steer away from just eating for the sake of stoking the coal, stoking the stove, if you will, and try to make more dining instead of more just shoving food in because you need it to survive. Enjoy it. Slow down. Have the time. It's a festival of delight if you're dining slowly with somebody you love and the meal is served without rush, and a little tableside show is always nice too.
Yeah. I like to say I've had bad food before, but I've never had a bad meal when I'm like sharing it with somebody. That experience it's always been good for me.
I like that thinking. True.
All right.
True.
All right. So now we are on to perhaps the main event. So your main course. What are you going to pick?
Oh boy. Well, seafood, because I can't make it well at home. It's hard to do salmon, although I have a neighbor who does salmon on a barbecue, an outdoor barbecue. I mean, that's dangerous because salmon, you can easily overcook it. You can
really
undercook
quickly.
it. It's got a very unforgiving, space where it's good, and then you can kill it one way or another. And trying to cook salmon on a barbecue, this guy blows me away. I mean, because a barbecue is not, it's notoriously a little out of control. You can put a steak or a hamburger on there and not kill it too badly, but salmon, wow. So because I don't do a lot of how can I say expert cooking at home. I'm just a novice as far as preparing meals. I like to get something I can't or am not really good at making at home. So I'll go with seafood, and salmon seems to top the list because I love the flavor when it's done right. But pretty much any seafood, because there's a whole variety of things I've never tried. And if we're dining at a fine restaurant, I would love to be able to ask the waiter or captain what the recommendations are.
All right. Well, if we're going with a nice salmon, this segues smoothly into sides. What are you going to pair with your salmon?
Oh boy, sides with a salmon. Again, surprise me with vegetable. I mean, let's go for it. I mean, I've had enough string beans to tie together to link the earth several times around. And broccoli and cauliflower, they're all favorites and wonderful, but they're pedestrian, if you will. We see them all the time, everywhere. And again, a squash is now you're getting off the beaten path a little bit. But there's all sorts of things I've never had before that sometimes show up on a menu, and I'm like, let's go for that, just because it adds to the dining experience as opposed to just stoking the fire.
Well, you were talking about textures, or well, I guess brought it up.
Yes.
But for me, whenever I think about salmon, I think about something like maybe grilled asparagus with like some balsamic sauce on it, and then maybe some mashed potatoes. Right. So that way,
this is not your first meal.
No, it is not. But I like to think of like that combination of textures and flavor differences, and you can mix and match as you kind of move. And
I like that.
That would be pretty good. All right.
A vote in your favor there, definitely.
All right. I'll put that down on your order. Grilled asparagus, and so we'll do some. And mashed potatoes, do you like them garlicky? Big fan of that or no?
Yeah, a little bit. A little subtle garlicky on the
Not
mash.
too much.
Although, if we're going to go in the potato realm, maybe a baked potato.
Baked potato.
It's again, I think that's more about texture, although I hadn't thought about it till this second. Mashed potatoes is a big mash, but with the baked potato, you can have the inside, the skin, or whatever, and you got some variation.
And I'm a big fan of the baked potato having like the sea salt crusted on the outside as well. Is that for you or not?
We're going to dine together. I like that.
All right. Excellent. All right. Well, now possibly and probably the most important part of the meal. Sounds like you were talking about healthy, but we could always close this out on an interesting note. What are you going to do for dessert?
If I'm going to hell with myself, which is being the fine dine that we are already conjuring up here, let's go with something real chocolatey, some death by chocolate, or just try to kill me with chocolate.
Well, usually when somebody says that, I think the molten chocolate lava cake thing.
That really was what was in my mind. I said that. Truly was, absolutely. But there's so many different things you can do again. But if it's really chocolatey, I'll never hand it back to you. And what's great about a dessert like that in a restaurant is you can't necessarily get up from the table and go get more of it. You know what I mean? Because at home, one bite's not enough, and probably 10 pounds of it is probably too much. So finding that middle ground, because chocolate, I think, and there may be some scientific background to this, but when you get that spike of sugar, I think you want to eat more because you start to come down. I believe there's I'm not a doctor, don't claim to be one. I've once dated one, but that has nothing to do with anything. But we didn't talk about blood sugar. But I think if you're eating something really sweet, the tendency is biologically, not just emotionally, to want to eat more of it and more of it and more of it. I think there's a call to maintain your blood sugar, which you'll never do with chocolate. But I think it lends itself to non-stopping. So in a restaurant, a chocolate dessert is great because I can't go and get an abusive amount.
An abusive amount. I like that. So a slightly less than abusive amount of chocolate is what we're shooting for.
There you go. And then the hot lava or however you want to mix it up is all good.
Excellent. Well, did you want to maybe throw a coffee on at the end of this? I don't know.
If it's the company is good, absolutely. if the company has not proved to be as convivial and congenial as you and I have been so far, I would be like, hey, I don't coffee this late would keep me awake, and I'll come up with some story like that. And, I got a flight to catch next Thursday, but I got to start packing now. I'll look for a chance to dive out. But the company's great lingering over. Coffee's fantastic. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, let me read your order back just to make sure I didn't screw anything up.
Okay.
So we're going to start out with a nice Chardonnay, and we're doing flat water.
Mm-hmm.
And is that full of ice, a little bit of ice? What are you doing?
A little water. Moderate amount of ice.
Moderate amount of ice. Then we are going to do shrimp cocktail, and we're doing prawns.
Yeah.
Right? We want these big and meaty, and the texture is going to be perfect on them.
Great.
Not overcooked, not undercooked, just right. We're also going to do a lightly fried calamari, and maybe an assortment of sauces, but probably we're not going to need them because it's just going to be so perfectly well done.
There you go.
All right. Then our salad, it's going to be, we'll call it chef surprise, but it's going to be a lot of green stuff. Right. Absolutely fresh, right out of the garden. They have a garden in the back of the restaurant.
I love it.
So it's going to be, and then we're going to have a fresh tableside Caesar dressing made for you right there. And then for the mains, we are looking at salmon. And we are going to do some grilled asparagus with a balsamic reduction on that. Then we're going to go baked potato with sea salt crusted on the outside. Is this fully loaded baked potato?
No,
what are
no.
you getting in there?
Moderation on sour cream and butter and stuff like that. That's I want to live past past the age of social security. Yeah.
Okay, we'll keep that on the side so that you can season to taste, as they say.
Perfect.
And then we're finishing it off with basically death by chocolate.
Yeah.
It's going to be molten lava chocolate cake, and then we're going to have a nice cup of coffee to round it out. Sound good?
Sounds perfect.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining me in the Fantasy Restaurant today.
And thank you for picking up the check.
Absolutely.
In sales, they call that the assumptive close. Thank you for picking up the check. It's the assumptive close.